Hello, ghouls, guys, gals, and any other life forms that may be streaming this broadcast. You are listening to Storming the Unknown podcast, where we have the paranormal, such as science, mediums, Ouija boards, UFOs, cryptids, and serial killers, and also dark history, all under one freaky little roof. The gathering place for the morbid curiosities to come and play and learn about the deepest, darkest parts of the unknown. Join myself and special guests such as paratech makers, move-on experts, and cryptid hunters, sorry, the baby's crying, and segments of terrifying tales from around the world. Delve more in depth to these subjects than you ever have before. Feast on this smorgasbord of everything supernatural. Join us as we go storming the unknown. Tonight, my guest is Mr. David Childers. Hello, David.
Hey, how you doing, Chica?
I'm wonderful. Glad we got this situated.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for taking one for the team and downloading one of the two. Go ahead and just give the people a brief little introduction about yourself. That way you can go ahead and share everything, and then we'll get started.
Well, I'm David Childers. I've been in the paranormal field for about 27 years now. Well, something like that. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll say 5 years right now. But anyway, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and met a lot of people over the years, great investigators, and looking forward to the future. You can also see some of my work on multiple television stations, Paranormal 911, Haunted Hospitals, Destination America. I mean, it's a lot out there. I was going to leave that up to you, Ashley. You put me on the spot like always.
Come on, it's fun.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to get into tonight because you have been working on quite a few projects, more than when I met you. Now you have a crap ton under your belt. But I mean, you have way more than that since you've been doing it for what? You said 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years exactly.
We're really counting it as like 20 or so.
No,
But
I feel old.
Don't. You just say you got started real young.
Yeah, there you go.
So a lot of the things that I wanted to touch on tonight was a lot of the things that we experience down south. You know, we have a different, I guess you would say a different availability when it comes to the supernatural, when it comes to paranormal locations.
Right.
In certain areas, you know, they are still kind of, we don't talk about that here, we won't do it. But for the most part, we get to participate in some of the coolest locations because, you know, that kind of culture down there that we do believe in the hoodoo and the voodoo and whatnot.
Right, yeah.
So what I wanted to start with is because I get this question a lot, and having somebody else who's also experienced this location, you can validate, or we can validate each other with the different experiences that we have at the location. And I know you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Our favorite, it's my favorite at least. I would hope it's one of your top 5 at least.
I love it. I totally love it.
But the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum in Gibson, Louisiana, ran by Mr. Perry Carver.
Yes.
Now, this location, let me tell you what, folks. When I first went, I was like, you know, there are probably a crap ton of spirits in here, but there's no way it's actually Bonnie and Clyde. You know, why would they be here of all places? And then be in that place for 15, 20 minutes, and you'll realize why they're there, why they're so bound to it. Now, I know they've heard my opinion a lot before on why they're bound there. What is your opinion as to why they keep coming back to this museum?
Bonnie and Clyde?
Yes.
I think it could be something residual. I mean, you think about it. I mean, they went there, they got their food. All right. You know, Bonnie wasn't even able to finish, you know, her sandwich. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting here and they go on to the, you know, down the road, and they got trapped. They got murdered. I mean, they were blindsided. They were murdered. They had no idea what was going on. So, and especially over the years, you have all these people where whenever it happened, they were still dead. I mean, they haven't even, rigor mortis hadn't even set in. And all these people are coming and taking hair and guns and clothing and
anything they could grab. Yep.
Anything. So, I mean, why wouldn't it be either, it could be intelligent haunt. It actually could be because of all the trauma they went through, but it could be residual. I mean, they left there and they got murdered. Then why didn't their spirits actually go back to the happy place before they got murdered? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be a mixture in there. It could be residual or intelligent. That's, one thing we've talked about before is going down there. Is it Bonnie? Is it Clyde? I don't know. I know there's a lot more out there. I know something evil out there. We've talked about that before in the
Yes,
past.
out in the actual field part.
Right, exactly. And I really haven't had, I don't have any documentation. I mean, any kind of evidence proving it is Bonnie and Clyde, except for what I'm hearing people are getting on the spirit boxes and what, I'm getting from people feeling stuff, I don't know. I can't answer the question like, yeah, they are there or not.
One of the biggest things for me is because of their personal artifacts that are there, like they have the dirt from underneath the car, they have glass from the car, they have the largest collection.
Bonnie's hair there, yeah.
Yep, the largest collection of, their personal artifacts, like their real artifacts. And my biggest thing for why I believe that they go back to this place constantly is, I know you've heard the stories too, how people actually like see a man and a woman walking back, like from the kill site and walking back into town over to where Mr. Perry's is. Now, my thing is,
I got chill bumps you talking about that.
I do too. I love this location. I'm so excited to talk about it with you. And my biggest thing is that they're buried together. In that makeshift grave that he has, it's the one place where they're resting side by side as they always wanted in life. And that's one of my biggest points, I guess, in that is that they love it there because they're at rest together, and that's all they really wanted. Now, I was on board with you with the residual feeling of the place. I mean, a lot of the things that I encountered there, it was just nothing but residual energy. But like from the late 1800s, it was real weird. It wasn't them. There are multiple spirits in that location. And when it came through, when I was doing a spirit box and EVP session, reciting her end of the line poem, it comes through clear as day, and it caught on EVP and through the spirit box. She comes in and finishes the poem. She goes, "They won't give up till they die," like in a full sweep. And I was like, holy shit. Like, she's actually listening to me blathering on about how much, I respect them and appreciate them and all this stuff. And she's finally like, okay, I guess she's not that bad.
And the thing is, Ash, you were there by yourself doing this.
Yeah.
You have bigger balls than me. I mean, you were there by yourself doing this. And that place is creepy, just with all the memorabilia. It's just like
with all the mannequins. Like, I don't do mannequins, point blank, period. So I was constantly catching myself almost fighting mannequins all night because, like, I'd turn around and bump something and feel like a hand and be like, like that was different than a ghost hand. A ghost hand isn't that solid. You turn around and almost start boxing mannequins. I'm like, okay, goose frog, we gotta chill. And what's really creepy is that red room, the autopsy room, the murder room.
Oh no! Especially, did you see the cat laying in there?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's what would keep happening. At some point, I finally locked the door because you can lock it from where the museum separates from the gift shop part in the front. Yeah. And so I closed it all the way finally because the cat kept coming in, and I didn't want it to mess with animals. Love me, so just follow me around all night. But every time, right before something would happen, like something major, like one of the doors, the bathroom door kept swinging open all by itself.
Right across from the autopsy room.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The footsteps that you constantly hear in there, and you can tell it's clearly not Mr. Perry because you can kind of hear through the wall, but
that's a Perry where he is. He's over there, right in the middle, right there. So it's totally you're not able to hear it. Yeah. Concrete floor. There's no way. There's no way you can.
And you actually hear the footsteps. Like, it sounds like somebody's walking right by you, and there's nobody there, but you hear it clear as day.
Yep.
Well, when the first time I went, I told them that I wouldn't go into the autopsy room if they didn't like it. If they didn't like me going into the murder room and showing their bodies like that, I wouldn't do it. So I was like, give me a sign. So the first time I'm in there, my camera just goes completely black because I was on the Facebook live stream.
Yeah.
And it just went completely black. And I was like, okay, guess I'm not going in there tonight. But as soon as I accidentally, when I was trying to get that car that's in front of it, I was trying to get a shot of that, and I accidentally like zoomed past the room. And when I did, I felt someone like come up behind me, kind of not like hit me hard, but like push me a little bit, like, hey, we told you not to do that. I was like, whoa, motherfucker.
Was that whenever, I know at one point you had the camera and you were standing in front of the car and you turned around and it looked like, I don't know, some sort of flash or something behind you. I couldn't tell if it was reflection. It happened so fast. I don't know if that was it.
Yeah, when I kind of like lost my balance almost, and it went kind of wonky for a minute.
You went around and there was something I saw like a big flash. It wasn't a reflection or anything. I don't know. It happened real quick.
Because that happens a lot in there too. I found that once they start all kind of talking at the same time, because that happened too during Spirit Box session. It was like 5 people arguing with each other back and forth. Yeah. At one point, like you could clearly make out that they were like, she's just here to help. No, she's not. Don't talk to her. Like just multiple people arguing with each other. And I was like, I'm here too, guys. Like, let me be a part of this conversation. But it just went completely off.
It's that place it has a lot of activity there, but I mean, there's spirits there that are not, Bonnie and Clyde are not the most powerful there. Okay.
No, not
they can show up, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what spirits are there. I would like to get a hold of Perry and go back there and actually do another full-blown investigation. Because I had thermal imaging whenever we were there investigating. And Sarah from Louisiana Ghosts and Generations. Sarah was sitting there and we were investigating to have thermal camera, and just one of her boots was cold. The other one was hot. The whole place was hot in there, except for her boot. And I was like, what is going on with this? You know, maybe she has steel toe on. We couldn't debunk it, you know? And it was just, that whole area is just totally, I don't know. I don't think Bonnie and Clyde's like the real ones there that haunt that place.
No, I believe that they're just kind of like background characters and what happens there.
Exactly. Maybe they're the ones that bring them in. You know, I have a couple of theories that I've looked at over the years. I'll call them watchers. The watchers are the ones that actually keep the spirits at bay in certain areas. They're like dark black masses. They're non-human entities. You know, that's just me. I've witnessed it over the years. They're the one that keeps them at bay, and they're the ones that can get, you know, use these other spirits to draw us in to actually where they can, you know, manifest and feed off of this type.
That's exactly what the Goat Man's Bridge is. You described it perfectly. Really? Yes, because there's something, and there's 2 aspects to that though. When you say that they're keepers, they're either, because I've ran into that in a lot of places. There's either the ones that keep like the peace and keep it like calm and collected,
but the
and
other
keep
ones
them in line.
They
feed off of their energy and your energy. They use the pain from, like, it's kind of like they're puppets almost. They tell these other spirits and energies, hey, cry out for help so we can get fresh energy in here. And
different kind of emotions, just like our emotions, different, or us being scared, laughing, fear type thing. They can feed off of it. They stand back and they just watch. Those are the ones that hide in the attics, hide in the basement, and just, you know, hey, I'm back. I just roll with it, you know. And that's whenever they let the other spirits, you know, decide what they want to do to a certain level. But, you know, that's especially at the crash site.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So that's one thing we have to go back to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Take care of the baby. I saw you get the baby.
Yeah, he did his He makes dinosaur noises. It's the funniest thing in the world. He sounds like a mix between a velociraptor and a pterodactyl when he gets mad. So it's so funny. But so we talked about this, and we didn't share these experiences beforehand. It was just afterwards, and I had already documented it with my documentary, and you guys were already doing it for Strike Fast with Gene and those guys, and with Louisiana Ghost Generations. Yeah. And I had no idea about you guys doing it until after, I went and I was like, there's another group. I got to know what went on. And that was kind of how we started talking. I was like, I have to know
exactly
what you guys experienced.
And see, the thing is, Ash, with that, before we even went down there with Gene and them, we already investigated 3 months before. That's whenever. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. So without doing the documentary?
Yeah, without anything. 3 months before, we already investigated. Well, it might have been 2. There was actually had a ghost hunt down there with LGG, Bill, and it was Sarah, and I mean LGG was down there anyway. I'm sitting here trying to think of names right now. Michelle's gonna kick my ass for not mentioning her name. I'm sorry, Michelle. But LGG were hosting an event down there and invited me. I won a ticket to come down there and investigate with them. So we were down there, and actually that's whenever I met Sasha Clanot. Sasha
Boudreaux.
Yeah, it was Sasha Boudreaux now. That's where I met her at. And we did an event down there and helped them out. That's whenever we investigated down there at the kill site. And it was real cool to have Michelle and Sasha there at the same time while we were investigating, because they were seeing the same thing we were seeing. They were picking up the whole thing, especially whenever Sasha sit here and came down to the wood line behind me and saw this figure down there. This figure down there at the kill site was evil, straight up evil.
It's
black mask,
pure evil.
It's non-human, straight up non-human. It got so bad where we all backed off. Because really, if we decided if we went into those woods past that wood line, there's no telling what could happen. Yeah. I haven't felt anything that evil in a long time, except for Kuhn Hospital here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. That's the only place I felt something that pure evil.
Which was, the point that when I mentioned it to you, and you were like, you mean, and I didn't even have to tell you exactly where I was. You said it, and I was like, fuck yeah, because again, like you pointed out, I'm always by myself. And so when I experience these things, I really wish sometimes, I did have other people with me that I could be like, did you just fucking see that? Or, do you feel the same way I feel?
Right.
But being out there, and, I was out there pitch dark at like 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night, doing a spirit box session at the kill site, at the markers and everything. And I just feel something glaring at me from that wood line, just like that leering, get the fuck out of here before I do something to you feeling. And I was like, and like you said, it doesn't feel human by any means. We run into like evil and hostile spirits all the time. It was not human, which I want to go and do like a whole experiment and trying to find out what that is, because it's just a completely different energy out there.
Yes, it's totally different. I mean, it was at the point when, whenever you get the old ghost hunters saying, within doubt, get the hell out. Mm-hmm. There were many times that I wanted to get the hell out, and I'm sure you did too. That shit was crazy down there, man. We got to do that. We have to go down there and actually conduct some sort of investigation and try to figure out not to figure out what it is. I want to see it. I want to see what this is.
I want to capture it because it's massive and it's dark.
And it's more than one. It's more than one. I can tell you right now, it's 2 or 3 of them out there. The second one is, whenever right where the marker is on the right-hand side of the road, you look to your left, you got that open area where you can pull in where the biker got killed.
Yes, during the recreation of it.
Right, exactly. If you go up in those woods, right in there, it's something weaker. And like I said, you walk probably about 50, 60 foot down to the left. That's when where the real evil presence is. I mean, it's a couple of things in that area. It's also something that we all ran across the road while we were down there too. We saw a full mist that came across the road and went beside the car, and all of us saw it, and it got right up under the street light. So
Now, that was another thing when like you guys see or hear stuff by the car, when I finally got in to leave, because it sounded like, you know how there's gravel out there near the marker sites and everything?
Yeah.
So you full on hear footsteps in the gravel, like you hear the crunching, like something's coming up to me. And so I whipped out my camera and just started taking stills everywhere. And I'm not big on orbs. You know how I am about orbs. Me, you, and Alex. You know how Alex is too. Like
dust.
Yeah, get some pledge. You won't have orbs. And I just started shooting, but it was these colors, and I sent them to you. It was these colors that I had never seen, and it was right where I heard the walking come from, and it was right in between the markers. And guys, there's nothing out there for my camera to be refracting off of. It's literally in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
It's pitch black. It is pitch black out there.
Yes, aside from this little bitty ass street light that's
above the marker, yeah.
But it's literally like 50 years old, and it's a dim orange yellow light, so there's no way that it was from that. But as soon as I finished taking the pictures, that feeling of get out of here got way stronger. It was like anytime I tried to pull out a new device or equipment or anything to set up, that impeding sense of you don't need to be here, or I don't want you here, just kept growing. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm respectful. Bye. And I told you before, I've watched Deliverance. I'm not trying to hear that banjo music coming. And no.
And that is the perfect spot for that to happen.
Yes, exactly.
It really is. You know, I love Louisiana. I love, the South. I love being in the woods. I live in the woods too, but I'm not picking on you. Louisiana, that area, but yeah, it's banjos playing.
But that's why, I'm from Louisiana too. I completely agree. At least we're self-aware, man.
Yeah. I know, right?
But when I got into the car, as soon as I got in, and I described this to you before as kind of you when you would go to leave when you were a teenager and your parent pats the car, okay, you're good to go. Something he patted my car, hey, you need to get out of here, because I was taking a minute, and it was like they were warning me, just go, don't stop, do not collect $200, just keep going. And then we also share the experience of feeling every time you left there, feeling like somebody was sitting in the back seat watching you. Who do you think that was? Because it still to this day baffles me that it's every single time we leave this location, it's not just me, it's multiple teams that encounter this.
Hey, hold on. Somebody wants to say, hey, come here, Dad. Hey, look, there's Big Daddy.
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you?
He was down there at whenever we investigated too. So we're talking about Bonnie and Clyde down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
All right, Dad.
Later, Tater.
But anyway, whenever we left there, Michelle was driving and Sarah was over there in the passenger seat, or vice versa, something like that, and I sat in the back seat. As soon as we pulled off there, we got half a mile up the road, and I felt like something was sitting beside me. It was crazy, and they're up there talking this and that and blah blah blah, talking about the event, and I'm sitting there in the back guys, I'm sitting here thinking, guys, there is something beside me. I could feel it. I could just feel the energy. It wasn't bad energy though.
No, but it was strong as shit.
It was, but it was like a comforting. It was like, hey, buddy, how you doing? I'm here with you, and we got up the road as soon as we got back to close to, off those back roads and got close to the downtown. That's whenever everything faded away, and I was like, guys, there was something back here, and they looked at me like, really? That happened to us before as well. So I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not freaked out. So maybe something really did happen.
And that's what the last time I'd actually gone, before my other investigator quit, and when he was finally able to go with me. And I hadn't told him about the experience I had the first time I went there by myself and had that happen, the feeling somebody in the backseat watching me.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him about that. As soon as we were driving off, right when you get past that little gas station, on the corner to turn around and get like back on what quote unquote highways they have out there. But to get back out, going back to Texas, he clearly is like continuously looking back in the back seat. And I mean, I already feel it, so I know what he's reacting to, but I just wanted to hear him acknowledge it. That way I could be like, hey, I'm not crazy. Michael, we're talking about the Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum in Gibson, Louisiana. It took him like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but he kept steady, like slowly looking back and then doing this with his arm, like moving it from the middle console. And I was like, are you okay finally? Because he just wasn't saying anything.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, are you okay? And he goes, all right, so I know you're going to believe me, but I feel like somebody's sitting back there watching me, and I swear someone just touched my arm. And I was like, yeah, that's the person that follows me home every time I come back from this place. I don't know why.
Well, I mean,
but they do.
It could be a guardian angel. I mean, it could be a spirit that's actually there with you, protecting you.
Yeah, but it's weird that we all feel it, and then it leaves at a certain point, right? Like when you get a little too far away from the museum, it's like it's pulled right back. It's really weird. At one point I speculated, I was like, maybe it's just them trying to like get a ride out of here, and it's one of the two, or it's like one of the energies in there trying to leave. But
that makes sense. You
can't go too far.
How many times over the years have we heard urban legends about ghost hitchhikers?
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
There's got to be something to it. I mean, they're in there, they're talking to you, with you, whatever, and they just disappear.
Or like the people who interact with them and then in the split second look away and then they're
gone. And see, that could be something, instead of them actually, urban legend with them actually visually seeing them, they could be feeling it just like you explained.
Exactly. Andrew said, I just want to know why, even with intelligent hauntings, and intelligent was in quotes, they can't seem to answer basic questions about the quote unquote afterlife.
Well, see, that's another thing I was talking earlier about the watchers. You have these spirits, these non-human entities that are sitting here behind the scenes, holding them back from saying stuff. That's just my theory out there. And plus, they might not have enough energy to manifest and actually put it out there, and say and actually speak words and communicate with us through our voice recorders or opening up doors, or whatever we ask them. That's just my opinion about it.
Another thing about that is, I feel like even though they're intelligently answering us back, not everyone knows that they've passed away. A lot of the times they're stuck there because of that fact. They are not aware of the fact that they have passed over yet. So they're still stuck in this plane with us. So when you ask them questions about the afterlife, they can't, because they don't know what the afterlife is. They're still here.
They could be shocked. You could scare them away. They're like, oh my God, I'm dead. What's going on?
And nobody told me that.
I know, exactly. I mean, that's rule one from the very beginning, man. Whenever we first started all this, well, I can't say that, but that should be the one thing you don't ask. Do not ask them if they're dead or alive. How did you die? Type thing. Talk to them like human beings.
Exactly, because they are. They're human beings. They're just passed on. That's one of the things I stress a lot, and I know you know that treat them with respect. They were once human. You treat them with humanity. When you make those personal connections, you don't treat them as playthings and puppets. We get much more profound responses. It's insane to see the difference you get versus, going in and being like, show yourself to me, and being like, hey, how you doing today? You want to chill with me for a little bit, Ghostesses?
Right.
Cool
beans. Exactly. Treat them the way you would want to be treated.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing about it.
Now, one of the most, I guess, interesting things that stuck out to me about what you guys did with that whole series was you guys chose not necessarily not well-known people. Like you guys did Marie Laveau and you guys did Robert Johnson for that whole Legends series. And you guys ended up getting some pretty crazy evidence. Like it was shocking to see what actually went on. I mean, because you think about it, what are the chances, that you're actually going to come into contact with Bonnie and Clyde and Robert Johnson and Marie Laveau?
Yeah.
But it happens. So would you mind telling people just a little bit about it? You guys still have to go watch it. I'll put the links into the comments so you guys can go and see it all. So, tell what happened without spoiling it, kind of.
Well, I mean,
give the people a teaser.
Yeah, you can check all of our stuff out on strikefaststudio.com. There's Ash, we got a whole bunch of stuff out there too. So
yeah,
it's like, we can start out with Mississippi Parachasers. MS Parachasers has been on there. And we went through a lot of haunted locations, Hell's Gate, abandoned hospital here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Hell's Gate was probably the best one. Witch Yazoo, we investigated all that. We got a lot of cool evidence, especially Hell's Gate. Hellgate was crazy. My daughter got attacked. Nose started bleeding and everything. Now we can go to Robert Johnson's. Robert Johnson, that was definitely a cool investigation. It hadn't made it out yet. It's still in the works. We have a lot of stuff to do because, it's because of some sort of court stuff going on at the time, which I can't mention. You can just look it up and then you can go through the details. But Marie Laveau, that was a real cool thing. I wasn't involved in it, but Gene and all them, they were down there and they investigated that. They got some pretty cool evidence at the whole thing.
And Bill's son was with him during that one, correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially in the cemetery, they got some cool stuff. Well, actually, I got the footage of Gene in there with the drone flying around and it crashed. But I got all the evidence from that, which he didn't put out there, which I should put out there, just to make him feel bad. We got, the other stuff we got coming up, Under the Grave, which is in Under the Grave. We've done a couple of investigations down in Devil's Knot in Louisiana. I forgot the name. What is it?
I'm going to need y'all to stop doing clown stuff, okay? Because I don't mess with clowns. And the Bozo or whatever his name is, Osbo. Yeah. I'm not trying to learn his name. He gonna come and haunt me. No. When I saw, whenever you post the pictures with him, I'm like, scroll real quick. I can't swipe fast enough when you be posting pictures of him. I'm like, nope. Love you, but nope. Can't do it.
Oh, come on. Osbo's a nice clown. Hey, I'm dressed up.
He looks like he would eat my child.
I would be nice. I dress as Osbo. So not anymore. Gene's got somebody else to do that. I'm getting too old to be wearing that stuff. but anyway, Osbo's a good guy. Well, actually, you'll be able to see here season 2. I think he's supposed to premiere, on some of our season 2 of the episode. So,
but why does the clown? How does the clown integrate to all of that? I've always wondered that because I was like, what the fuck are y'all doing with the clown, man? Why is he there?
Osbo is he's the main, he's like one of the biggest main characters of the whole thing. He has all these abilities. I can't get into it because you got to watch the seasons. You got to watch
spoil it.
Yep, I can't say anything, but put it this way: Osbo is a beast. He's a bad boy, and there's somebody else out there, another character that's actually going to be stronger than him, but you have to wait till season 8. So,
you trying to bring in a creepier clown? Y'all tripping.
I can't say anything. Ask Gene Hamill. That's the mastermind behind all this, man. He tells me stuff going on. I just go with the flow of it. All I know is I got to be there and act and go from there.
That's what, when I had him on the show, we talked a lot about the different things that they encountered with the Marie Laveau series and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't really ever get into the Twisted Carnival series. And I think more than anything, it was because I wanted to stray away as much as possible from talking about clowns and why he was using them. Because, sorry about you. I still won't even walk past open drains because I'm not going to get it. Okay.
Oh
I'm 29 years old, almost 30. And guess what? Still won't, because I've watched Final Destination enough times to know that you're going to go out the way you least expect it.
You have the balls enough to go in the middle of freaking bumfuck Louisiana with nobody around, parking on the side of the road, no lights, and talk to ghosts, but you're scared of clowns.
Yes, because their makeup hides their true intentions. Okay, like they might look all happy and go lucky and ooh, take some popcorn and balloon for me, but you know what? They're gonna end up eating me or stabbing me or something. I watch way too many horror movies to know that a relationship with a clown will never end in a positive light. Ghosts, I can deal with, but and again, running into some Deliverance type people, I know how to handle myself against real people, but a clown comes up to me, I lose my shit. I'm like, please get away from me.
I don't blame you. Okay, I agree.
Andrew says that doesn't fully make sense that they wouldn't know, and communication is only made through a device. I'm not sure I fully agree on that aspect, respectfully, but always interesting to get others' perspective. Well, that's the thing, Andrew. That's perfectly fine that you don't agree, because we don't know. We don't have scientific data. We don't have that definitive proof that we need. And until we, have a crazy ass billionaire who's like, yes, let me fund one of your projects, and we can get a location completely locked down where the temperature is the same, the situations, the environment is going to be completely the same to run those scientific experiments back to back to back to have that objectional data, we won't ever really know, but it's always cool to try.
We won't know, completely about the paranormal. We won't know the full story until we pass away and, see our Lord. But we probably won't want to know then. I ain't gonna lie to you. I won't know. But there's a lot of equipment out there that. Well, Ashley, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of equipment out there that could be scientific. Say, yeah, it's paranormal. We can do this, but there's a lot out there that's not. So we just got to do your research. And really, I like a voice recorder, and I like my personal, gut feeling type thing. Maybe a camera.
I would rather do it that way. Most of the time, when I do just do my base readings and stuff, because I do go back to locations multiple times to get baseline readings for everything, whether it be, the thermal temps and the EMF detectors and stuff, to see if there are any fluctuations. If you're in a building one day and it's not going off at all, the power's out, there's no type of fluctuation in the readings, like that Broken Bow Asylum. I need you to go back to that location with me, because I will admit that was the one time that I kind of regretted being alone, just because there was so much stuff happening, and as one person, I can't catch it all by myself.
Right.
But it was every 2 seconds there was something flying across the room, or moving, or shadows darting back and forth.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And during off season, when this asylum place isn't open as a haunted house, because it's open as a haunted house now. Right. Before it was open as a nursing home, a home for troubled teens. Part of it was Broken Bow's little makeshift hospital in between the big hospital bays, just quick medical treatments and stuff. They tried building a church in there, and the preacher and all of the people who were working on the building to rebuild it as a church all just got up and left one day, and they're like, we're not coming back. Just sunk at least $6,000 into this place, and just left it, left the boards and everything, all of their equipment, which is nope, done. Because somebody was coming, they would hear this horrible voice coming and screaming at them to get the fuck out, or scratching them and just making them feel horrible. So they all just left. And this building now runs as a haunted house. Whatever is in there, and this is one of the things that we refer to as, a watcher. This place, there's something in there that it's like it uses everybody else as a puppet to try and call out for help. And then once you start connecting with certain spirits and energies, it like attaches itself to you almost to try and feed off of your energy. And
parasite. It's a parasite.
Yes. And I mean, it is dark. It feels like, and he hadn't told me anything about what everybody else experienced. I was like, I just want to kind of walk through here and tell you how I feel afterwards, and then you can tell me your stories. As I'm walking through, and like it's almost instantly when I went into this place, I felt like breathing down my neck, like somebody was just standing right behind me, following me everywhere I went, breathing down my neck. And so finally, after we went through the walkthrough of half the building, and I have my EMF detector, it is not going off at all. There's no electricity running through this building. There's like no exposed wires and stuff. It's not going off for jack shit.
Yeah.
But I tell him, I feel someone standing behind me. I've felt him this whole time just breathing down my neck. And he goes, I'm going to call my brother real quick. So he calls his brother. His brother shows up and he goes, tell her what you feel like every time you're in here. He's like, I feel like someone's just standing behind me breathing down my neck. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So then he starts messaging all of his other workers, and they're texting him the same thing, like without being told or cued as to what to say, just randomly asking these people. And everybody's response is coming back is, it always feels like somebody's following you. Somebody's just breathing down your neck. And then when I was doing the live from the American Ghost Hunter show,
Right.
you hear, I'm clearly talking. So you hear my breath of voice. You hear me continuously using my breath in a sentence. And then on the live feed, and I didn't hear it live, but Alex messaged me and was like, I just heard something. And so when I did the replay back for it, you hear a into the camera, like when it starts breathing heavier on my neck, it's when you hear, because I even acknowledge it. I'm like, there's something, it's breathing harder on my neck. And when I said that, you heard the into the camera while I'm talking.
That's cool. Yeah.
And the EMF detector, there was this doll. Okay. And I had gone near it multiple times, like I said before, the day before with the EMF detector, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. It did not go off. And I have the Mertech one, so it's real hard to make that one go off. Like you could have your cell phone up on top of it, and it still won't read it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there recording, and then I feel like there's just nasty ass energy coming from this doll, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and put my EVP recorder on it, and I'm going to go put the EMF detector on it and see what's going on. And sure enough, the closer I got to that doll, it was spiking. It was going above 60.
Really?
It was absolutely insane. And I even had people in the chat, like I have that same EMF detector, and it takes a lot to make that thing go off. And you saw me walk past this area multiple times in the beginning, and nothing happened. I would set it up on top of the doll. If I'd move away from the doll, it was fine. Yeah. It wasn't like a battery operated doll, so it didn't have any type of electronics in it. It was an immobile, like one of the old ones, but that didn't have batteries in it or anything either. So there's no way, there's nothing electronic going off. And so I set it on there, and as I'm asking questions, like, is there something attached to that doll? It just keeps spiking. The temperature is jumping constantly. And then when they finally opened it back up for the haunted house, the guy who owns it sent me a video. One of his workers was closing down the location, and they attach, when it's haunted house time, they attach a strobe light to the top of the mobile that's not there, when off season.
Yeah.
They attach a strobe light to the top of it to strobe down on the doll and make it look super creepy.
Right.
He kept trying to turn it off, the strobe light. He would flick the switch, everything, and nothing was making it go off. He was videotaping. He was like, Andrew, I'm about to run the fuck out of here. I don't know what's going on, but it won't turn off. And I keep hearing somebody behind me every time I try and turn it off.
Oh, shit.
And then all of a sudden in the video, you hear boom, boom, boom right next to him. And he's the only person. He goes, all right, I'm going. The video cuts out, and I guess dude leaves. But there's something attached to that doll, or something that uses vessels that.
Yeah.
And it was when I was pregnant. So that was the first and only time I've ever left a location. I have to do it because it's getting too much for me to handle.
Right.
And it started talking about my baby. And I was like, oh, hell no, I will fight a ghost. Like, we will go. Okay.
See, that's another reason why, whenever if a female is pregnant, that's why they usually stay away from, the paranormal. Take a break until you have the baby and then go back in,
Well, it's funny though, because I was pregnant for the longest time before I knew. I was pregnant for at least 4 months before I was actually aware of it. My last trip to the Bonnie and Clyde Museum, I was pregnant. That whole Islamios Museum thing I did, the whole series that I shot on top of my fucking car, getting action shots of the museum. Pregnant as hell, didn't know it. Now that I think of it, I'm like, Jesus. But I always tell him, I'm like, you're a little paranormal investigator already, you little ghost hunter. Because think about it, he's been on quite a few investigations. So I mean, he's pretty skilled.
Oh damn, you're so crazy.
I know, but it makes life interesting. It's fun. Hey Shay, hey Andrew, hey Russ, hey Sandy. Andrew said that he's not knocking. I just always tell people I wouldn't believe half of what I do about the paranormal without experiencing myself. Well, absolutely, because I mean, I think that's for anything in this world. If you haven't experienced it, first and foremost yourself, it's hard to just take anybody else's word for it. Not that you don't believe them, but you need that definitive proof, which as a rational human being, exactly, that's perfectly fine. I'd rather you need that solid proof than to just take anybody's word for anything. Because those are the people that, share articles from The Onion and think that it's real, or the Chive or whatever that website is, that satire website, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Well, it's really not, but okay. Now, Mississippi Paranormal Research Institute. You guys have been around for what, going 10 on 11 years, maybe?
Going on 8 MPRI. But okay. me, I've been doing it for 27.
Oh, he finally said the full year. But what did you guys start off? Like, did you guys just start doing smaller locations and then gradually work your way up to bigger ones?
Excuse me. MPRI started off, kind of hard to explain the way you said it. Ask the question. Now, we started off, 27 years ago, the team started off. Started off with GHX, Ghost Hunters Extreme. And we were doing everything, man. I mean, we were weekend warriors. We were rolling. We were trying to get whatever we can. Graveyards, public places and this and that. And then eventually sort of died down from it whenever we became True Seekers Paranormal Research and Investigations. Had bad experiences with proper residences and was like, nah, we can't do this anymore because it's just too dangerous. I mean, we investigated a whorehouse before, a brothel, an active brothel, and there were drugs and guns and all kinds of stuff. So we're like, no, I can't do it anymore. So now it's just businesses. And Gene ended up getting a hold of me. It was like, hey, David. Well, actually, Delta Paranormal Project ended up leaving there. We split up. It was 4 founders of us. We split up, and Gene contacted me. Hey, David, let's do MPRI. I'm doing a horror movie, and there's a paranormal team going in investigating these crazy characters, and we call them Mississippi Paranormal Research Institute. Why don't you make a real team out of it? Okay, cool. I like the name. Let's roll with it.
Might as well.
Yeah. So basically, all it is like big, just businesses now. We don't do private residences. We do, just weird urban legend type stuff. Our main thing is right now that we're hitting up on is haunted attractions. You were mentioning that earlier. We're hitting up these haunted attractions, to see if they actually are haunted. We're coming up a couple of weeks. We're going down to Gulf Coast, down to Gulfport, and we're investigating terror on the coast and see if it's really haunted. They've had a lot of experiences down there. And yeah, there's a
And
lot of cool.
Gulfport's seen a lot of the different tragedies like New
Yeah.
Orleans has, like hurricane-wise and
Right.
stuff. Now, I don't think what people realize is when you go into locations like this, it's overwhelming sometimes because there is just nothing but loss of life. When you think about it,
Right.
New Orleans is just one huge burial ground. And the fire in the early 1900s, they didn't remove the ashes of the victims that were burned down. They just paved over the streets. You
Right.
have all the different people who have died in the hurricane. I mean, when Rita came in and when they had Hurricane Betsy in the 50s, I mean, that death toll was horrible. But when you think about what happened with Katrina,
Yep.
I mean, just that sheer power of in an instant your life being taken. And it wasn't just one person or two people. It was literally thousands of people all losing their life at the same exact time.
And New Orleans, and you go down New Orleans nowadays, just me, I go to, hey baby. So cute. So cute. I love the pictures. But you go down New Orleans nowadays, I mean, just me being, having an ability. I go down there, man. I just get dread. I feel bad. I want to go. I don't like being in New Orleans because it's too heavy on me.
Yep. I'm kind of the same way. I've been doing it for so long that I've learned to kind of like channel it out, but to where it doesn't end up making me sad, but it does overwhelm me to the point where I feel like I don't stay out there for very long. When I actually stay in the city, I don't stay for very long because that energy drains you. Like it's literally pulling.
Yeah.
It pulls at every inch of you, and
so many emotions. You feel. You feel.
Yes, and already being an empath, like you feel what happens, what like everybody else's energy anyway. So it's always packed out there. Like you don't have to go to Mardi Gras to see New Orleans full. It's packed all the time. There's literally hordes of people on the street at any given moment, at any given day. And you feel the emotions of all these living people on top of that. Yes. And it drains you. Because again, it's not just the people who died in Katrina. It's not just the people who died in Betsy.
It
is the civil wars that were fought down there. The Shawnee battlefield is a huge one. A lot of that feeds into it. And then you think about the Mississippi River. You think about the fact.
Hold on. You're rocking back and forth, and Darth Vader is headbanging in the background. I was sitting here watching you. See,
I didn't even realize that.
I was sitting here watching you. I'm like, what the hell is Darth Vader moving back there, dude?
Yeah, I'm just rocking. I use my rocking chair as my computer chair now.
That's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I was kind of freaked out that you stopped. I was like, is something happening? Because I always freak out. I always get kind of weirded out. Like if I'm sitting there, and especially when I'm doing EVP reviews, because I've always had him behind me, like near my computer setup. Yeah. He's always my co-host until now. I have another new little co-host.
Oh, the baby, so pretty.
But I would get super freaked out. You know, when you're sitting there for 5-6 hours straight going through audio review, some of the creepiest things you've ever heard in your damn life. Yeah. You feel like somebody's at a certain point, not the paranoia, but the lack of sleep, the adrenaline. You feel like somebody's kind of like sitting behind you and watching you. And when he's actually sitting behind me and watching me, I will forget all the time that he's there. So then I'll kind of do like that little slow turn. And
yeah.
Oh, holy shit. And scare myself for a second, but then realize, okay, it's just Darth Vader. Like, it's all good. We're gravy.
That's awesome.
I have hit him before because TC moved him one day when he was cleaning out the computer room before we made it into a nursery. He was cleaning it out and put him near the front door. And he has a sensor. If you turn him on, it's a motion sensor. And he'll be like, the force is with you. Come to the dark side. So I walk in from work and it's already dark, and it's dark in the house. Like none of the lights were on. I had to turn it on. And I just hear the dark side is with you. And he went across the room.
That's awesome.
Across the room because I was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's just Darth Vader. Okay, no problem.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we've been through some shit, but he's cool.
That's awesome.
What would you say is your most intense experience? What location has given you that one instance, or you can do top 5 if you want, because you've been doing it for a while. What instances have made you just either want to shit yourself or be like, oh, I might want to get out of here?
It was probably Mansfield State Reformatory. That was like Mansfield was like really bad. Everybody went, well, we had like 5 or 6 teams there. Everybody went to East Block, West Block, investigating. Me and Tammy and Rich, we decided we want to sit here by the DVR system, just watch and see what's going on. So we're sitting here watching, and there was a camera down at solitary confinement. And Tammy was like, "Oh my God, y'all look! There's an apparition at the end of the hallway." I looked over. Yeah, it was an apparition. We grabbed what we could. We went hauling ass to the end of the hallway on the first floor. And by the time we get to the end of the hallway, nothing there. We were asking questions, this and that. We heard a couple of cell doors slam. And those cell doors have been stuck in place for years. Nobody else down there. So it was basically a residual haunt. Well, we went to the other side of the bottom floor. And Tammy was sitting here, started provoking. She was like, yeah, I can't help it. Hey, kid. It's so
he wants to stand up. He's trying to stand up.
We went around the other way, and Tammy started provoking. Hey, I'm a female. He ain't seen a female in a long time, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, Tammy hit her knees, grabbing her stomach. I looked over, me and her husband looked over. It's like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I just can't move. My stomach's hurting, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at her. I was like, it's probably just gas, just messing with her. Well, it got serious. She could not get up. She was dead serious. Something was going on. The male meter, we looked at the male meter, and the temperature was 66.6. I'm not really into that, but
no. But when it happens, I thought situations you can't help but to notice
it was a coincidence
that it's usually when like the really bad shit happens. Like when I got scratched, my temp kept coming up as 666 or 6.7, like, but it hadn't jumped to sit in the 60s all night because it was 40 degrees outside. Like you can't ignore that coincidence.
And it was cold as hell in solitary confinement that night. It was cold as hell. It was so cold on the outside. If you opened the door, fog came in. I mean, but next thing you know, Rich was like, get off of her, blah, 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 this and that. And I went over there to try to pick Timmy up. I could not pick her up. And I tried and tried. I could not pick her up, And she wasn't a big girl. She was a small girl.
And anybody who doesn't know, David is ripped.
Yeah. I got a dad bod, yeah. 180 plus, yeah, I'm not ripped. But anyway, I went over there and I finally got her up, man. And fireman carried her all the way to the break room. Put her in the break room, and we lifted her pants legs, and she had marks all over her legs like something was holding her down. So it was a scary situation, but I felt in control. It was like something I couldn't handle.
Because you also have to keep your head on when you're in those situations, because the more you let it affect you and the more you let it get you rattled, the more it'll feed off of it. Yeah. And then you're of no help to anybody. Yep.
That's just like the experience I had down at Rocky Springs, Mississippi. We hauled ass out there, but that's whenever I first started. I had a full like black mass just manifest in front of me. I dropped everything and hauled ass. There's many a time that I've been out there and screwed up, which we all would do. But probably the most, that's the most frightening right there was probably Mansfield, because it was just one of my friends was involved getting attacked, and we were helpless. The husband was helpless. I mean, what do you do? Yeah.
What would you say is your most entertaining or funny story or location? Like, what if you had something? Because I've had like funny stuff happen in places before.
Yeah.
Have you ever had those encounters?
Yeah, I've had a lot. The one time whenever one of my investigators decided to put a stationary voice recorder next to a bathroom, the only bathroom in the house. So yeah, that was pretty messed up. That was a nice recording to go over. Definitely, with all the men and women going in there, and some of them, number one, number two. Yeah, and a couple of them, I'm sure they had Taco Bell that night. So that was
That's
pretty
never a
rough.
good combination.
No, it's not. That was a pretty rough. I, sort of ended up throwing that out. I listened to like 5 minutes of it and just deleted it. But that was a real funny one. Really, other than that, it's not really. I don't have that many fun ones out there except for that. Well, except for investigating that brothel. With, that was about it. It was pretty scary as well.
What is your favorite location not in the South to investigate?
Not in the South?
Not in the South.
Oh my God, you're putting me on. Oh, not in the South.
It's what I do.
Oh, you suck. All right. Arkansas? That's not considered South, right?
No, I mean it's like mid. I'll give you Arkansas.
Crescent Hotel. Crescent Hotel.
Really?
Yeah, the Crescent was awesome. Texas South. Virginia. What about Virginia?
No, I wouldn't consider Virginia South, even though they consider themselves South. But
well, yeah. Just like North Carolina. North Carolina, I don't consider South because they have dry barbecue. Really?
Yeah, that's a northern thing.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, Crescent Hotel is probably one of. Oh no. The Millennium in Buffalo, New York. The Millennium Hotel. That's the Millennium Hotel is definitely haunted. Whenever let's see, a couple of years ago, went up there and filmed with Paranormal 911 on Travel Channel. I stayed in that hotel. I wasn't expecting it to be haunted, but while we were filming, we had some crazy stuff happen. Whenever I went back up there doing Haunted Hospitals last year, which will premiere March 28th on Travel Channel, we were filming and we had to stop 4 or 5 times because stuff started happening where we were filming at. I mean, there were curtains fall down, water bottle got knocked off, equipment going crazy. So Millennium's pretty cool.
The Crescent Hotel, isn't that the one that's in Hot Springs?
No, it's above Hot Springs. Yeah,
okay.
that's in Eureka Springs.
Okay. Yeah, and that's like literally the next town over.
Right. Yeah, it's right up there. Yeah.
That's where you can go diamond mining. We went there for a vacation one summer, and we did Hot Springs. First of all, I would love to do Hot Springs just because of the affiliation that it had with the mob back in the early 20s and 30s. Right. Prohibition was huge in that area. They actually had underground tunnels built from the clubs and the bars in that area to that hotel right across the street. The bathhouses that they have there, the mineral springs water processing plant that JFK's father actually used as a front. Their water bottling company, he was hand in hand with the mob as using that as a front for a distilling factory. They would actually make bootleg liquor, moonshine, everything in that factory and use it as like a front for what they were doing criminal wise. And then they have the gangster museum. They have the mob museum in Hot Springs. And that place is just the coolest. And I actually like felt stuff in there with me, At one point I'd see like a shadow walk across the room and I'm like, oh my God, are you Dillinger? Like, who are you? Because they actually have his death mask in there. Really? So, so when they have, actual artifacts, when you have those things to tie them back to the ethereal plane with you, you always end up wondering, oh my gosh, like, are you real? Are you here? Yep. And the area that it's in, what it used to be was actually like a speakeasy that they would use. And it's actually connected to part of that underground tunnel that I was talking about. So I'd love to go and investigate just like all of Hot Springs. Just tell me, hey, knock knock. Can I come in after hours and investigate here, please?
Fun story. About 10 years ago, I got bit by a vampire in Hot Springs. Supposedly vampire. Whenever the vampire craze was going on, I had this chick came up, and they were all dressed in black. It was like, "Hey, look, bite me!" Yeah, and I got bit. No blood, thank God. Yeah, but cool story.
It's like a human mosquito. You're lucky you didn't slap her.
Yeah.
I would have been like a reaction from me, like when you get bit by something, you know how your instant reaction is just to smack it. I would have done that.
Look, I was, we were all drunk at the time, so we didn't give a crap. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Sandra says that they cannot wait to meet you, David.
Hey, Sandra, how you doing?
Tour when they come back down south.
Awesome.
So is there any other location that you want to shout out? Any upcoming projects that you want anybody to be aware of? I have already put the links for Strike Fast Media, for Mississippi Paranormal Research Institute, all of you guys' links and all that stuff. Everything is in the comments. You guys can go click on that and watch all of their work so far. And Twisted Carnival Season 2 is about to drop, correct? Or is it?
Yep. Well, actually, Season 1, Episode 1 just dropped yesterday.
There we go.
So, you go to strikefaststudio.com and everything's on there. Locations we got coming up. We got, you can check out my page, Strike Fast Studio, Gene Hamill's page. We'll be investigating down on the coast at Terror on the Coast. Live feed investigating the haunted house location with a lot of horror, movie props in it. Then April 14th, we're going to Hazelhurst, Mississippi to investigate a haunted hospital, which is pretty cool. It's ended up, I think it was 67,000 square feet. So it'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Got a lot of other stuff coming on in the future, but anyway, that's about it, Ash. I'm tired. I gotta get to bed. Baby.
Thank you. He'll join us one day. He can be our equipment holder.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
But thank you again so much for being on the show tonight. I have fun with you as always. If you guys have any what? Now he's trying to say bye to you too.
Oh.
If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, whatever you may feel, go ahead and type it in the comments and I'll get to them later. Or, like we always do, I always end up going back and answering your questions for anybody who watches this back in archive. Check out Strikefast Media or strikefaststudiomedia.com and
Strikefast Studio.
There we go. Strikefast Studio. I don't know why I was trying to call it Strikefast Media.
Jeans changes it all the time.
Is that why I always get confused?
Yes,
I think so.
Strikefast Studio.
We're blaming it on Gene. He's not here.
It could be Stone Cold Media. 20 times. So.
They're right here, guys. I'm highlighting them in the comments. Go ahead and click on those links and check out any of their works. Thank you guys again for tuning in tonight. Sandy, Emma, Russ, Andrew, Joe, everybody else who's in here. If I forgot you, I'm sorry. I do appreciate you listening, though. Tune in next Monday. Remember to check out the Paranormal Bully Busters page, which is where we use our social media platforms to help spread the word for stompoutbullying.org. It's a foundation that raises money to help schools with awareness and bullying and help them get the resources out to help with those types of things. And also, you guys remember to check out their website. You can make any donation straight to stompoutbullying.org. We do not take any of the money. Everything goes back to the foundation. And remember, if you guys want to discover the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And y'all have a great night. From me and Olivier. Good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Good night, guys.